How to invest explained like you're 5. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but here's the truth. Most people are so intimidated by investing that they never start, and it's costing them millions of dollars over their lifetime. We're talking about what investing actually is, how your money grows, and the exact steps you need to take to start building wealth, even if you've never invested a single dollar in your life. So why is investing important? Oftentimes we want to retire, or maybe retire early. And the only way to live off of money without working is to have money already saved, and investing is the best way to do that. Now you might be thinking, why can't I just save money? Why can't I just hold a bunch of money and I'll be able to live? Well, as our world continues to grow and grow, there's a thing called inflation. And what inflation does is it basically eats away at your money. You don't necessarily lose the number in your bank account, but you lose the value of things you can actually go ahead and buy. So being able to invest is a way to avoid inflation. And oftentimes our money can grow faster than inflation, meaning that we also make more money as well. Think of it like this. Imagine you have $100 today and a toy costs $100. But next year, because of inflation, that same toy is going to cost $103. Your $100 sitting in a regular savings account can't buy that toy anymore. But if you invested that $100 and grew it to $107, now you can still buy the toy and have money left over. Look, if you want to retire early, you're not going to want to rely on Social Security or whatever. You're going to want to make sure you have a stockpile of money that you can tap into alongside those other things, so that you're able to retire and be able to stop working. So you don't have to work into your 80s and 90s, assuming you live that far, Lord willing. But knowing when to invest is just the first step. The next question is, how do you actually start? This is something that I'm not going to give too much specific advice on because I don't want to be legally responsible for this stuff. You're going to have to be doing your own basic research, but I'm just giving you some easy information educating you like you're 5. First off, there's two main things: the platform or the provider you're going to go through, and then B, the account type. First, let's talk about the provider. There are a lot of different pros and cons to each provider. I would recommend doing a little more research. You can easily even do it on YouTube. Literally, there's tier lists of brokerages and accounts to go through. I'm not going to disclose which one I personally go through, but there's some that give you no fees. There's some that give you free stocks when you join, so basically free money if you just join their platform. And there's so many different benefits. There's pros and cons to each platform. You're going to have to decide which one's best for you and which one's going to fit your goals the best. And just educating and learning more about those platforms is going to be a great thing to go ahead and do. I would make sure though that you're going through one of the main brokerages, ones that are just trusted and dependable, ones like Fidelity and Vanguard. Just making sure you're doing that is going to be a very good idea. Then the next step you have to decide on is what type of account you want to make through that brokerage. So the brokerage is the platform you're going to be using and investing on, but inside of that platform you have to decide what type of an account you want. This sounds really complex, but it's really not. The main difference is when you're taxed. In traditional accounts, you're taxed when you pull the money out, and then with Roth accounts, you're taxed when you put the money in. For most people, you're going to want to go with a Roth. The reason being is when you put your money in, you're taxed at a lower rate than you would be when you pull the money out, assuming you're making more money when you're older, which is most people. But choosing the right account for yourself is only half of the battle. The biggest mistake people make is what they do after they open the account. This next part is actually probably the most important. We're going to get to some more common mistakes later in this video, but the main thing we need to address first is what to actually invest your money in. Because one of the big common mistakes people make when they put their money into the brokerage, they put their money into the account and then they just expect the money to grow. Well, it's not actually doing anything. That's just transferring your money to the account. You actually need to invest your money into something. Now, before you get overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know what to invest in. Do I invest in Walmart, Best Buy? Do I invest in bonds? What even are bonds? What do I do? I'm going to provide you a very simple explanation. This is not financial advice. This is just simply an explanation of past trends that have worked. The main thing that works is buying mutual funds and index funds. Again, this is not financial advice. This is not a promise. This is not a guarantee. Money will go up and down in the stock market. That is the only guarantee. But over time, we have seen that index funds and mutual funds grow at a consistent rate of around 5 to 10% over time. What is an index fund or a mutual fund? It's usually just a combination of a bunch of stocks, giving you a large advantage, meaning that you're going to generally go up over time. Instead of buying just Walmart, where sometimes Walmart could go down 20%, but other times Walmart could go up 50%, and you're just getting this massive fluctuation. When you have a huge collection of stocks, sometimes when Walmart goes down 20%, Best Buy might go up 20%, and then you're just going up 0%. But sometimes Walmart might go down 5% and Best Buy go up 10%, and now you're just going up 5% on average. Index funds and mutual funds tend to be the best thing to invest in for beginners because they usually are the most safe, but also guarantee a pretty good rate of return over a long period of time. Again, this is not financial advice. It's just a recommendation. But knowing what to invest in is just the beginning. The hardest part is actually putting your money where your mouth is. Here's where most people know what to do but struggle to actually do it, and it's the difference between those who build build wealth and those who stay broke. The next step in this process is an action plan, and this is honestly the hardest part. Learning how to invest, what to invest in, and all that might take you up to 2 to 3 days max, depending on how much time you're putting in. Honestly, it might only take you about 5 hours if you just sit down and you're like, okay, this is how I'm gonna figure out how to invest, all that. But the hardest part is actually putting the money into the account, because oftentimes we wanna spend money. We wanna go out to eat, we wanna do all that stuff, but saving enough money to invest is a big enough difference to make a deal. I'm just gonna give you a simple rule. Again, this is a recommendation, not firm financial advice that will work for everybody, but in general, a basic rule of thumb is to invest 15% of your income. Some people do more, some people do 20%, some people even do 10%. You could probably get away with either, but 15% is a great number because it's a number that's gonna help you start building wealth over time, especially if you're at a younger age. Now, if you're at an older age, you're not cooked either, but just making sure that you're investing as young as possible is honestly the most important, because time in the market will always beat timing the market. Now, what if you're saying, what if I can't afford 15%? Well, you have to cut expenses, and this is the thing that most people struggle with because it's cutting away things you usually enjoy. It's cutting out going out to eat. I'm not saying you can't ever do fun activities or go out to eat, but I am saying you want to make sure that you have enough money invested and saved that you're going to be able to at least retire so you can enjoy your older years. So making sure you're cutting back on those things, maybe it's finding a cheaper place to rent or trying to get out of debt or whatever. You're gonna have to do some things that make you uncomfortable. But when you get uncomfortable, it's where you usually find the most prosperity, and it's no different when we're talking about investing here. But before you go out and start investing, there are some critical mistakes that can destroy years of progress. Now, I want to talk about beginner mistakes before you go out and start your journey so you can avoid these. First off, and most importantly, start today. The best time to start investing was 100 years ago. The second best time is today. I know it's kind of an overused quote, but man, I cannot stress it enough. People who start investing when they're 18 are going to be far more successful than people who start investing when they're 60. You have to invest less per period, you have to invest less as total as well. Now again, if you're 50 and you're 40, you're not over, your life's not over, you'll be fine, but stop delaying it. Put money in today. After you educate yourself a little bit more, of course, but figure out how to invest, figure out a brokerage account today, because time in the market will always beat time in the market. Please get in. This is urgent. Get in the market as soon as possible. But again, the second mistake, I'm literally going to talk about this for maybe 10 sentences because we already talked about it earlier, but making sure you actually investing money into stocks or mutual funds or index funds or bonds, whatever you want to invest in, just making sure that your money is actually being invested and not just sitting in a brokerage account or a different account outside of your bank account. Your money is not working for you. It's such a thing that people miss, but it's a reasonable mistake. You would think, I'll just put it in the account and let it grow. But you actually have to invest in certain things. It's a step that some people forget. Please don't forget it. Another mistake is trying to get rich quick. This is called buying super cheap stocks that you think could explode and then they just go flat and you lose all your money. Chasing quick riches is never going to work. Again, we've talked about it earlier. Time in the market always beats timing the market. It's the same thing here. Could you get lucky? Yes, but it's pretty much glorified gambling. But again, there's one final category of mistakes that's more about your mindset than your money. The last thing I want to talk about is something that's more mental, but it's so important. And this is feeling like you're behind. Man, if you're starting when you're 30 or 40 or 50 to start investing or get better at investing, you're not behind. So many people when they're 80, they've never invested a dollar. So just starting is important. Number 2 is worrying about what other people think. When you invest, you have to make a sacrifice of 15% of your income. If you take my advice, of course, it could be 10 or 20%. Obviously, it's going to look a little bit different for everybody, but you might have to cut back on expenses. And when cutting back on expenses, you might look poor to other people. You might not be able to afford a nice car or a nice house or fancy clothes, assuming you're avoiding debt, which you should be if you're investing. And I just want to tell you that's okay. It's okay to look poor when you're secretly becoming rich. It's honestly really important to do that. So just over time, building wealth, it's worth the sacrifice. I promise you that. So what's the bottom line here? How do you actually make this work in your real life? Here's a simple action plan explained like you're 5, of course. Pick a brokerage, Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, they're all good. Don't overthink it. Just pick one and hopefully open up a Roth IRA if that works the best for you. Step 2, set up automatic investing. Have money automatically taken from your checking account and invest it every month. Start with what you can afford. Even $50 a month is better than zero. Then try to work your way up to that 15%. Invest in a simple index fund. Look for something called a total stock market index fund or an S&P 500 index fund. These are boring, and boring is good when it comes to investing. Step 4, increase your contributions every time you get a raise. Got a 3% raise, increase your investing by 1% and use the other 2% to improve your lifestyle. Step 5, don't touch it. Don't check it every day. Don't panic when it goes down. Don't get greedy when it goes shows up. Just let it sit there, let it grow, and over time, you're gonna get to your goal. But now that you understand how investing works in simple terms, there are other basic money concepts that school never taught you. Fundamental skills that every adult should know, but most people are too embarrassed to admit they don't understand. So check out this video where I break down basic financial literacy explained like you're 5.